Hey everyone, welcome to Matrix Podcast. Today we have a special friend of ours who's on,
Hey.
and he's going to share with us what motivates him. That's Jonathan Heleno. Please
Hello,
continue
hello.
your introduction and let everyone know about yourself.
First, I want to say thank you for having me. It's great to be a part of this. It's the beginning of something that's gonna be great. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I've just been friends with these guys for high school, but Anthony Longer, elementary school, grade 2 or 3, I believe. So
Yes.
always had a solid friendship there, and yeah, I'm just here to be a part of this awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm a
enjoy
little
it.
nervous and choppy, but
That's the
my
best
first
way.
time doing something
Authentic.
like this, so it's exciting.
Exactly. We keep it real, making sure
Yeah,
it's all good. We're here together as friends, so thank you. We could join each other like this here, but we wanted to start off talking about the things that motivate each other, right? Because of course that's respective to the individual, to the person, based on their own previous experiences and what drives them. So we just wanted to hear more about what drives you, because we know you're extremely ambitious. You love the entertainment scene. You're huge into comedy. So what is it that's propelled you to move forward in those situations?
just growing up, man. Like I used to like sing to my dolls and like just like as if I was in a concert, dreaming about just being around hundreds of people, thousands of people, changing lives, touching lives, just being a part of people's lives in a positive way. It's always been a big thing for me. And right now, the current battle is just actually putting the step towards it. But I mean, overall, it's just been such a huge thing for me, and I've always just loved the life of like to live that kind of life, right? So
Yeah.
that's just something that I've always just loved. Yeah.
It's true, and from a personal standpoint, he's always made us laugh
Oh, for sure.
throughout elementary, throughout high school. That's the kind of character you are.
No.
Love that, man. But I think in regards to motivation, again, being that something that's based on the individual themselves, it's always very necessary to keep focused on the grand idea, the grand lifestyle that you intend to live out of everything, but
Mm.
also focus on the present moment, every necessary step that's taken. We always mention to ourselves, it's like writing your plan with a pencil, because you have to adjust at times. You don't have control over every single circumstance, and it's really a matter of being able to move forward in a progressive way and a constructive way
Mm.
for yourself, while knowing what that goal is, so you have a direction. You've set a direction for yourself, and then your habits, your actions, all your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, whatever it may be, are all conducive to that
Yeah.
goal, that idea, while enjoying what it means to be present. Because if you're, of course, there's this whole. I feel like there's almost a stigma around the whole hustle and having to grind through things. Of course, there's sometimes a necessary struggle, because there's adversity that comes along the way, and that's what formulates our character as we continue to move forward. But I'm a huge proponent, I believe, of really enjoying the process as well, because at the end of the day, is it really only worth just the end goal? Like, it's about who you become along the way. It's about the experiences that you appreciate, the connections that you formulate. All of this, I think, ties together into the entirety of the lifestyle, and that's the beauty of it. So you want to enjoy this process, and I feel like we're extraordinarily hard on ourselves sometimes when we haven't reached that end goal, if you may. So what is it for you that you've done that's kept you on your tracks, that's really uh, allowed you to start the process without having fear for it?
As of lately, it's just been like talking about it more often, being more accepting of it. As you grow in life, you have different jobs, different your 9 to 5s and things. You kind of step into this mindset that like the sheep mindset per se, and I guess just doing that lately and now understanding like, hey, like don't just give up, don't just kind of fall into that trap. Try to at least put it into perspective for yourself. Think about it more often. Things like that. That's been my biggest uh, mindset per se. I've talked to you about it numerous times. We've had numerous conversations late at
Oh
night.
yeah.
Right? Just putting it more into my head and just understanding that like it's okay to of course strategize and think about it, but at least have that acceptance that this is what you want to do and don't just kind of let it go, right? Don't just kind of wait for things to happen. Don't wait for anything to just come to you. Just at least talk about it. Like that process in itself is so important. At least it's been helping me uh, come to the point where it's like, okay, I know I'm going to do this. It's just a matter of how and what exactly that's going to be, right? Like you said, there's so much to entertainment, and that's even a battle in itself for me right now because there's so much to it. I love so many things that comes with it. I love like the comedic side of things, the music industry. It's all a part of entertainment, and there's so much, and it's so overwhelming.
I just did want to touch upon something you said briefly. Was talking about how you're going to do it, and I don't think we always need to place so much emphasis on the how because we don't have all those answers yet. Our scope of vision is so small, especially when we're starting things out. We want them to be so precise and perfect to our ideals, but I think when you remove the how, you start to welcome so many more opportunities because then you start seeing different perspectives that you would initially have seen when starting out a process. For example, if you're getting into a comedy club and you think the way to do it is to sign up at XYZ club, go through there, and you're rigid about that. But if that was your only how-to, then you wouldn't welcome when you came across the streets and someone gave you maybe their business card and say, actually, this is a better way to do it, or contact me through this agency. And from there, have more of an opening, I feel. But a lead-on question to that would be, what do you think comedy means in the world today? You know, we've seen so much going on in the past year, and things have been extremely sensitive on a vast variety of topics where it seems like comedy is almost not welcome at all. However, we still gravitate towards it with the prevalence of podcasting and the shows that do support it. So what do you think it means right now? What can comedy do in the world?
Oh, man, that's such a huge question, dude. Like, comedy, like you said, comedy right now is like it's at a really weird point because everyone is just so fragile to people's opinions, and if it's something that's like kind of outside of like a safe realm, they just kind of freak out, right? Comedy now, I feel like it could just ease people's. It's an escape. It's a way to laugh and just enjoy yourself in that moment, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with stepping out of a zone of safety just for a joke, right? It's not meant to hurt anyone. It's not meant to target anyone. It's a moment in time where you can just laugh and enjoy and let go and just be in that moment, right? And like that's huge. And right now, and that's not really the case. But I mean, there's still some people out there that are still doing it that way, and
pushing that boundary.
I think definitely with like Flagrant.
You
watch Flagrant?
Sorry, I didn't get that, brother.
You watch Flagrant? On YouTube?
Who? Sorry?
Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh.
Oh, yeah. He's a good example of that, man. Huge example.
They're so funny, man. They're just so offside. But, like, it's, like, all comedic. So it's, like, it's all funny, man. It's, like, they're just so funny. They're so flagrant in, like, the way that they speak. The jokes are so just, especially right now, too. Like, for me, it was funny, like just to separate just the last year with like pandemic and stuff like that, like just to laugh at like the funniness of being locked in your house. I thought it was so funny.
Like to be able to make a joke about it, right?
And like some of the jokes were so just like I guess offside jokes about Corona and things like that. It was just so funny, man. Just to laugh.
It lightens it up. It really lightens up the scenario because sometimes you get caught up in your own head. Like, what are the implications here? You start thinking about things in a very analytic way. Righteously so, we should be, I feel. However, there's also a time and place for, let's just take it easy for a second. You can't add humor to the
Everyone
situation.
should be taking it easy. If you're not a doctor, relax. Relax with your opinions.
Dude, people nowadays they take life so serious with their own problems, right? And that's it's a good time to just, if you're in that, the comedians that do that are such a blessing and they don't get enough credit for it. But hopefully, eventually, we can kind of get back to that state of mind where it's
Peters. Remember Russell?
Yeah,
Peters?
he was
growing up. Yeah. How funny was Russell?
Oh yeah,
man,
dude, he was the GOAT. He was.
One of my.
That was our people. He's from Canada, man. He's
literally close by.
He started that.
Very close by.
I think my dad. He told me because my dad grew up in Brampton, and so he actually was in high school at the same time with Russell Peters at the same high school in Brampton.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think they. I don't want to. I think this is so old that it doesn't matter, but I think they actually stole like a piano. They broke into like a basement together. So but this is like 30 years ago. Something like that. It was they did something illegal, but good memory.
There you go. Exactly. There's an experience, a memory out of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny, man. That's so. But yeah, I honestly really like what you said there about comedy. Like to just like kind of just separate from life, man, because life right now, especially, is like the last year and a half. It's just been so serious. Everything's so serious. Everything you say is so serious, and like everything going on is so serious. Like it actually is serious. So just so you can chill for a second and just watch a video or watch, I don't know, a podcast, watch something, just
even just conversations with your friends without having tension there with your own friends.
Yeah.
Just to laugh together and like, so nice.
Absolutely.
It's definitely, it's needed.
Just life is being taken too serious. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying we need laughter in our life.
Oh man, that's everything. I look every day. I try to make myself laugh just so I can laugh. It's weird to say, but like,
tell us what you do. What do you do over there?
I just make jokes in my head. I'll think about like previous like memories when I was laughing myself. People look at me like I'm some like maniac, but I'm like, hey, you're not in here right now. Don't judge me.
Yeah, I can attest to that too, because there's sometimes where I'm like literally in my head we're playing scenarios and it's like just in a humorous way.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Even today I was walking to. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I was walking to see if CIBC was open, and I just thought about something. I forgot what the memory was. I think it was at the beach with you, Anthony. we went to Wasaga, was it?
Yeah.
And we had something hilarious happen, and I was just crying by myself. I was laughing. I was walking towards the bank, and people look at me like, "This guy's fucking
no way."
It's crazy, man.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, sorry, it was funny. It's like, you can't hold it sometimes. But yeah, laughter is everything.
Just shared it with them. Should have told them what was going on.
What, at the beach?
Yeah. just told all of them. Said, hey,
with 6 feet distancing.
Yeah, of course.
Preaching.
Social distancing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So social distance and be funny. That's the new way.
Do we know, speaking of social distancing, do we know when like comedy places are going to be open? Like,
oh, I don't know.
There's probably a few in Toronto that we could touch.
Yeah. I think it must be maybe third phase. I'd assume because it's more so indoor.
Hey, dude, we're waiting for golf and tennis to open up right now. And then nothing else is really out here that is confirmed other than tennis. So hopefully soon, man.
Eventually, at the end of the summer, to get into that, that'd be fun. Even like the Yuck Yucks.
Yes, there's one right here downtown.
Yes.
Maybe our Mr. Johnny will perform me there. Do a stand-up. Do a skit there.
That would be hilarious. So, if I had a decent amount of people that you know, so
we're there.
Half the people then really are like, you know them. So you do the same stuff in front of them.
Exactly.
That would be hilarious, man.
It's definitely that'd be a huge step for me. Anthony is always texting me to try different things, and he always texts me some idea that he thinks he has that I can excel in, and that was one of them. I'm going to Yuck Yucks, and he sent me links on how to sign up for like amateur night, and like to me it's just like freaky, man. It's scary stuff, especially when you're so novice to it. It's
you want to take that leap of faith, right? Because it's again towards that direction of what you want to be doing, the lifestyle you want to live as well, right? So that's just another part of that journey, and you try to have fun with it where you can. Of course, there is I can definitely see where you could be timid about doing so if you've never been in that scenario before, and how it's a different act of being funny around your friends and being up on a stage. It's a different mode of operating, but I think it's just part of embracing that experience, right? And oh my gosh, all these comedians still today, we talk about like Andrew Schultz, and they even say on their podcast how sometimes they bomb. And now being professionals after years and years and years of experience. So it's really there's nothing to fear on that end.
They bomb and they get fake laughs. They get laughs that are just because they're like
ha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're getting laughs
just because they paid like $100 for a ticket. So they're like, I'm gonna laugh.
But they're actually hilarious too, and
they're hilarious.
Yeah, that they're pros at it, right? So I think that's just going into any new domain. There's always going to be that, you're going to be a little bit iffy about it, but to really really know what it's going to be like for yourself is to just do it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And
seriously,
back on that, like think about it like this. Like we were just talking about it, I think with in the beginning, like we were talking about the stuff you want to do. Like that's the next step after that, because just talking about it, I personally like doing that as well. I like to talk about stuff I'm doing, but like it's also with action, because if I'm just talking about it, then I'm just empty. Yeah, then it's just we're just talking. We're just talking. Yeah. That's all really.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's very true.
It's good to talk. I'm not saying it's not. It's good. Definitely is, but it needs to come with the action, because then when you're doing both, if you're that type of person that like likes to talk about it, then when you talk about it, it's like you force yourself to do it.
Yeah. And you're looking for the perfect scenario as well. And sometimes that perfect scenario might not ever come just because it's not in line with, maybe your current circumstances or whatever that might be. So we're looking for that ideal scenario. And I'm a big believer that these ideal scenarios can happen. However, I don't think we should just rely on them and wait for them to occur for us to take that next step. And that's why, if you feel a little bit of discomfort going up there, it's completely understandable. But there's that leap of faith as we
Exactly.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more with that. It's of course going to be about action. Of course, being like putting yourself in places where you could step into that zone. And like last night, I always see like signs of like me doing it. And something as small as like watching like a TikTok video late at night before I go to bed. Like this guy quit his job, he sold his car, he sold everything he owned. He bought like those RV vans, and he's driving across Canada, and he wants to be a comedian. And like he's gonna there are places outside of like Ontario that are open already for those kinds of like those shows that you can kind of go into, like a Yuck Yuck, like an amateur night.
Yeah.
And he's doing that, and he has a small following in the span of like 2 weeks. Like I commend it. Like I couldn't agree more with that, man. It's just that's just the current battle, I would say I'm facing right now. But I'm sure with time, I gotta just do it. Action, like you said, right? So.
No one's stopping you. Yeah. No one doesn't want you to have it either. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Everyone's for it. Everyone wants you to succeed.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all in growth, right? Like we're all in our own personal growth journeys, and if that's what's part of your journey, then by all means go for it, right? You're not offending anyone. I mean, you might have some offense.
I might offend some people. My humor for sure.
They're funny.
Yes, exactly.
In a comedic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I can't believe
it's so funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're not literally, of course, affecting anyone in a negative manner by going about this, right? So it's I think just the fact that it's even a little bit uncomfortable shows that you're going into new territory. That's symbolic of you taking a step forward, because then you're literally getting outside of your comfort zone, which means you're trying something new. You're getting to that next step. You're feeling it out, and then you build more of your character on top of it. So it's literally a win-win scenario, even if it doesn't go the way that you expect it to or would like it to. It's just another part of that moving forward. So it's exciting stuff ultimately. But what I was curious of what you were thinking, in regards to comedy, was we've seen this happen, in the past few years, especially with the sensitivity and the prevalence of social media. But we see that the line of what's acceptable in comedy has changed over the past few years, and we're trying to now backtrack and adjust for it as we see fit, I suppose. Now, for example, Kevin Hart, he made some tweets 10 years ago, and now because that line has moved, where those tweets are now offside, not saying that they weren't back then, definitely make the argument that they were, but generally as a society it was more accepted to make, I guess, jokes like that per se. But now that line has moved, now we got to look back and say, point the finger, Kevin Hart, that was bad, that was immature, which again, there's an argument for, but at the same time is how far are we going to push that? How much are we going to continue to push that line and those boundaries to say, now everything that someone said back then is considered rude and inadequate for comedy?
Hey man, that's another tough question. It's right now, I just think it's not. I think there's a pretty big fan base of people that still like the jokes that like the out of bounds jokes per se, I guess. Like there's a big core base for that still. But like I think comedy is gonna be divided. Like completely. There's gonna be like a new genre of just like safe jokes, and you're gonna be commercially successful that way, and then like what we're like the people that are still are not afraid to make those jokes that are a bit dangerous or more out of line, right?
Exactly.
Like I think it's gonna be completely divided, where it's like this is one genre and that's another genre of comedy, and I don't want to say as a whole it'll just be like completely one way that way, because I know there's still gonna be a big core base of people that still are looking for that specific kind of comedy. I don't think it can't really go much further than this, man. Like everything's just been, it's already at a point now where it's already so different. The goats my opinion, like Dave Chappelle, those kinds of guys, like I can go on, but obviously like those kinds of comedians, those are the ones that will have longevity because they did it. They've done it their way, you know, and whatever way that is, people are going to have to accept it or people are not going to accept it. There's always going to be a core base of fans, right? So it can't really go much further than this, man. It's just too sensitive, and people are going to have to either become accustomed to it and kind of adapt to it, or they're just going to do it their own way and still have their core base. So that's just how I think about it.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting that you point out, you talk about commercial success, and we're starting to slowly see the transition between traditional commercial success and maybe Hollywood or just through major production studios into, you know, the autonomy of people just doing it on their own now with podcasting or, you know, acquiring the funds and setting up the capital to make their own shows and post them online because you could literally post it anywhere. And if you have a fan base, if you have an audience, people are going to gravitate to it. And a lot of times, if you have a big enough fan base, you could do better numbers than getting on that TV show or on maybe Comedy Central or whatever it may be. So maybe that division that you're explaining is going to be the extremely clean and acceptable in terms of the overarching term of society is going to be going through the commercial route, and all of these production studios, the traditional ones, are going to lean into that completely. They still do right now because they can't cross certain boundaries, but they might completely lean into that type of comedy, like it's its own style possibly. Whereas the other kind, where it's like a free for all, that might just be posted and then it's a free market, so the best one wins, I suppose.
I like that, man. Honestly, it's really good to do that if you separate it completely, and then you put all like the PC comedy on the TV. And the non-PC comedy on YouTube, on whatever other platforms there are. Have, I don't know, any type of comedy, like a podcast, stand-up, anything like that. Netflix, put on Netflix, stuff like that. Because especially with it, I kind of feel like it's trying to, society's trying to take away that, like, non-PC comedy. That people that love that non-PC comedy, you're like, no.
Like, you're not taking this away.
So that's why everyone's going to YouTube, and they'll go listen to somebody on YouTube. And you can do whatever you want on YouTube. You could swear, cuss, anything really. Just you'll get demonetized. But of course,
there's a point.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like even now, like even that kind of was happening, but even now these platforms, they're becoming kind of they're kind of going towards what the general what the people get, like, I don't know how to put them into like a category, like sensitive people, I guess, per se. I don't know, but they're following their terms of services. Even YouTube, man, if you're swearing on YouTube, you're not going to get paid for it. So ultimately you want to be funny and you want to make people laugh, but you also want to make a living out of it too. That's the idea, right? So it's getting harder and harder for people to do that. It's harder to find platforms where you can do that. But the thing that platforms are also great for is that nowadays it's just numbers. If you have a fan base, you have a core base, and that's in anything, comedy, music, anything. If any sort of people that want to see you, you can take huge advantage of that. And you'll have more opportunities. You'll be in maybe look at Logan Paul and Mayweather.
Ooh.
How the hell did that happen?
That's crazy. Imagine saying that 25 years ago.
Dude, it's crazy. Just think about how
a YouTuber that was coming up, big, trained boxing alongside his brother, and then is going to fight arguably the greatest.
I don't even think 25, they don't even know what YouTube is. Yeah, if you say this 5 years ago, 5 years ago, that would be massive to hear Jake Paul, or say even 10 years ago, because I think 10 years ago, Jake Paul was still on his Disney Channel.
Okay, I see.
So, just imagine saying when he was on Disney show, whatever Disney show he's on, I personally don't remember it.
Yeah.
But whatever, he's on the Disney show, and then imagine saying to him then, being like, you're going to literally fight a decent couple fights that are gonna be pretty popular.
They're huge. They are big.
People are watching these fights. People
get numbers, man.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, people want to see it, right? Whether you're even a fan of the sport or not. And I think that's a big discussion. Is there's the purists of the sport that are like, okay, let's not denigrate the sport of boxing or let's say MMA, but let's just go for boxing for the sake of conversation because now you get this guy who's come up who's coming up, who's only fought maybe a couple fights, who gets to fight among the top tier fighters, but it's in MMA, so it's not against top tier boxers. But he's gaining all this traction while there have been professional fighters in boxing who've been doing this for years and years to maybe a decade or two, and they're not even getting these opportunities, right? So it's like it's the pull and the leverage of social media and of your following even. So it's
really numbers, bro. It's all core numbers.
I don't know, man. Like, honestly, the traditional boxing people that actually want to see real boxers, amazing. Go and do that at your local, I don't know, small facility. That's what's going to be in the next 5 years if you want to keep it like that. You need these big people. These are people boxing's been so boring.
And that's what's great about it, is it brings people to the sport. So that people who may not be
exactly
are like, okay, wow, that inspired me. Now I'm actually going to go train properly. Well, of course, all these guys are training properly, but I mean, maybe it's just going to welcome them more into that atmosphere because they follow Jake Paul, for example, and now because of that, they want to jump into the actual arena and do it properly.
Or just watch it. It's gone mean to watching fighting. I never watched fighting, really. But this year I watched a couple fights, even a couple boxing fights, just because, there was celebrities. I don't know. It's just fun to watch. It's more of, a social thing. And now I feel like everyone's kind of they get it. Everyone's kind of involved with that scene.
YouTube, TikTok.
That social media scene.
Yeah.
Social media is massive, man. It's literally like a second world for all of us that we transfer in and out of real world, social media world,
virtual world.
Exactly.
That's the best way to go. That's even to go back quickly to the comedy thing for myself or just anything to do entertainment. That's where I'm going for sure. That's where I'm going to start my that to get that little following, right? Because that's the best way to do it now. It's you go into the people right away. It's you don't need these big companies, big corporations to have to support that anymore. You can just do it yourself on your own.
Yeah, exactly. You're delivering the information. It's really
all on this, man. All on this thing.
Yeah, there's no mediator in between or third party that's necessary. Of course, if you're putting on a platform, you need them to mediate the information, possibly to regulate it. But typically, you have an account on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. You're directing the information. You have creative freedom there,
and you could build a following so quick.
Yeah,
really, it's if you are the thing is with social media and things of that nature, my only thing with it is that I've seen about building a following is if you're actually sincere with your posts and it's really good posts, you will get a following. But it has to be it can't be you faking it, trying to be real. You have to actually go on the post, whatever it may be, video post, TikTok dance. I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever it is, it has to be real. If it's real and then the actual quality of the content is nice, you'll get a following, and you got to be consistent.
No, I agree. Yeah,
that's the third step, I would say.
Yeah, the consistency.
The consistency. You got to post every day, multiple times a day. You got to know when to post. You got to know when to do this. What hashtags,
all the tips and tricks,
all these different things, and it's a constant learning thing. No one ever knows fully everything, right?
Yeah. And all those things they help drive the algorithm too, right?
Exactly.
So exactly. I was gonna say the algorithm.
And that's why you want to learn all these things. So it does do that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's incredibly interesting, but again, see, the argument there is huge for why that's necessary, as we just talked about, because it brings more attention to the sport, and if people want to watch it, then they're going to go do so. It's available to them. But as long as it just doesn't take away from the integrity of the sport that it's trying to promote, and I think that's where we get into some iffy water there. For example, like you just saw with Jake Paul, for example.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing is, I think it's incredible how much traction that he's been able to gain, and he's on this, this high rise of just, continuously trying to fight better fighters, promoting the fights as much as he can. But again, I do feel like there's a necessity to preserve the sanctity of boxing as well, where I feel like so many people start watching that only, and now it's kind of be like a high for people, and people aren't going to want to necessarily watch as much of the boxing as it already is, except for the real, again, purists of the sport that are just that are like diehard fans. Now, you can make the argument that that's a good thing, because again, more people are welcome to the sport, they want to check it out, and people are going to make money all around. But actually, the people who are actual boxers who've been training for years, who want to do this as a profession, might actually not make as much money on that in there. So it's really tough to see. I guess, what the best way to go about it is, and if it's sustainable long term.
That
just shows you.
You could go both ways, honestly, with that. But like, really, truly, whose fault is it that these boxers right now are not making money? It's their own. You're not promoting yourself.
It's just showing you the way the world is moving now. It's all it is. Like, change is good in any sport. Change is it's objective, right? Like you want to keep that core boxing like idea, and I think that's still there. It's fighting, but now it's people that just people want to see people like the popular people or whatever the case is that they want to see that more, and
they want to be entertained, man. People just want.
It's the way to adapt.
Yeah, it's entertainment ultimately at the end of the day, right?
People want to have fun. They want to go somewhere. They want to go put it on the TV, and it's two people that they know from social media.
Yeah.
This person, that person. It's fun. It's just a fun thing to do. It's just like watching a movie or a TV show or something like that. I don't think it's actually like fighting. Like these people, like to me, these people are just like people acting in a boxing thing, like WWE. That's how I look at it. So to me, I love it. Like Jake Paul, whoever's fighting, these YouTubers, TikTok. Hey, let me get on that. I'm down to get in the ring with some YouTubers or some TikTokers. I'm down. No one's actually trying to hurt each other. We're just trying to get money. That's all we're doing here. I think that's all.
Yeah, it does.
That's all. I'm about making money. If that's what they're doing, and it's just for fun, and that's all it is. Just for fun.
I think now that's kind of where it's going for sure. I personally like, and this could be a bias thing. I don't want to discredit Jake and Logan if we're gonna go into that quickly, just because they take it pretty serious from what I can tell. But like, there's another event, the YouTubers versus TikTokers.
Yeah,
it was a whole event. These guys made millions of dollars, and that you can tell. Like, that's a money grab. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the only thing that's sorry, go ahead.
No, I was good.
I was going to say the only thing that's really, I guess, unique about the fighting, the sports in fighting, for example, MMA, boxing, but we talk about maybe them promoting themselves, like it's their fault for not promoting themselves, because it's already a hostile atmosphere where you're literally fighting each other, or it's at least perceived to be hostile in some circumstances. The thing with these social media personnel is that they're willing to do things that other people might not be willing to do, and that's why they're able to promote themselves much more. Like Jake Paul is going to take maybe Mayweather's hat as he did, or he's going to cuss someone out and get real personal with them, which is going to get the likes. It's going to get maybe it's not even likes. It's just going to get attention drawn. People are just going to talk about it. We're talking about it right now. People have been talking about it since he's been on this high rail of fighting. Leading to fight professionally, and then when it comes to boxers, maybe like you look at the big ones: Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. They're massive. Those are really the ones that I'm familiar with at this current day and age. But the rest of them, like, what do you recommend would be the best way to promote themselves without having to be offside? Because I do think that that it could spread a lot of negativity sometimes when you're just going after the person that you're fighting against in a really in a personal way, especially as we've seen happen. I don't think that's always the best way to promote anything in general. I understand where it fits hitting, because there's that edginess there. You want to see people go at it, and it builds up the tension, it builds up the views for the fight. But a lot of these boxers, I just don't think are willing to go that far as Jake Paul is, or have the leverage to do it.
I think it's it's weird. I think humans just like to see people hurting each other to some degree, at least like in a professional way, like in boxing. And at the end of the day, to me, I know you and I already had this discussion. To me, it's genius. Like that to me is, and I know you don't think so. The word genius isn't the word to use, but as far as a marketing perspective, I think it's exactly what you should be doing if you want to get your numbers up, because not ultimately it's for that fight, but then you're also growing for the next fight, and for the next fight if you do plan on doing it long term, right? And that's what he wants to do. So I think it's perfectly fine what you're doing, as long as you're not being like racist or like completely out of hand. But to take a man's hat, like,
yeah, no, that's
just
an example.
Playing into everything.
Yeah, he just exactly
wants people to say like, you go too far. And he's like, yeah, I'll go further.
That's playing the villain.
He's just playing the villain. That's all. It's like an actor. He's literally an actor himself.
Yeah, he's
you know what I mean?
He's buying into it.
He wants people to talk, just to have the conversation. And then you keep talking, and you have your own narrative against him or for him. And then you go, now if you're against him, maybe you want to go watch him get beat up or something like that, right? Exactly. That's all it is. I personally, I think it's smart what they're doing. And I like it because they're brothers, and I personally, like, I love seeing, like, family, like, doing stuff like that together. Yeah, absolutely. Especially bros. Just, I think that's sick. Yeah, that's so just sick. It's just, like, sport. I mean, it's just, it's really cool. And, like, I love how, like, they're just, like, Jake was, like, on the side there watching him, like, actually, like, in it and upset. And, like, highs and lows in the fight. It's just cool to see. Yeah. I think that's nice to see as well.
Because, they're taking it seriously. It's just... The thing that I find that's, I suppose, smarter, as we were talking about with the genius marketing, I don't consider it genius marketing because, because he already has all this leverage. That's a whole other argument, is how he was able to get to where he was, to build that traction, to have that social media following, to promote himself out there. But when it comes to the actual sole act of already, let's say, having those followers and then calling someone out, I just don't consider that itself genius marketing. What's actually the smarter move that I think is the fact that he's willing to play the villain. And that's what people aren't willing to do, and that's where it becomes more of a marketing campaign for himself. Is that he's actually willing to take that step forward to paint himself, as the bad guy, as someone who's willing to say this stuff, even if he's not that, if that's not true to his character.
The villain always makes the most money. You see it in all sports. Even if you watch I Am Athlete, it's another good podcast with a bunch of NFL players. Ocho Cinco, he literally says it, like, he literally tells it to other young athletes. I recommend it. Be the villain of your sport. Be the villain. He has made so much money from being like Ocho Cinco, doing his own thing, being a rebel in the league. Exactly. Never did anything bad off the court or off the field. Literally just being a menace, just being a kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just going around dancing, doing stuff. That's what he was about, which was a villain in the league at that time, especially back in 2005. Yeah. And that's now made him so much money. Now, off the field in his retirement, where now he can, live a very lavish lifestyle and, like, live the way he wants to live, which is amazing to see as well. So you can do it both ways. You could be, also a perfect, like, teacher's pet, like a Tom Brady. You could do that too. Yeah. Both are good. I'm not saying be the villain, but also if you want to be the villain, you can make a crap ton of money. For sure.
And have fun doing it, right? You don't have to play it safe.
Yeah,
be controlled.
Exactly. No. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, if that's you, man, just do it. Like, if you feel more like you're the villain, go and do it. I don't know what else to say to you. Go do it. If that's how you feel, go do that. Yeah. Like, if you want to be like the sweet guy that always does everything like the right way, go do it that way. Love that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all different. We're all gonna feel different. So you just gotta pick your character, I guess.
Yeah. The
pretty much.
The only thing is. Of course, you definitely want to lean in, pick your character, and take ownership of it. But the only thing is, sometimes I think when it comes to playing the villain, is it could be very short-sighted in that at what point does it start to overwhelm reputation? At what point does it actually start to remove possibilities and networks away from your reach, because now you've burned so many bridges along the way by painting yourself as this
if you do it properly, the villain don't do anything actually illegal or bad. Like, you're just I looked at as a villain.
Okay, like,
it's like it goes back to WWE. Like, if anybody remembers Edge, back in the day, he was the villain in the WWE. He was not a bad guy. That's just his character was the villain. Like, in any movie, that character is the villain. So, like, if you don't do actually anything like what a villain would do or a bad person would do, you're good. Yeah, you got good character. Like, if you're good, and you like
good morals,
and off the court, you're nice to people, and whatever. People will love you. Still, like, people love Chad Johnson.
Yeah,
and he was such a he was just a menace in the league, just a hassle, just such a big hassle. But I love Ocho Cinco. Everyone does. Even you don't even know him. Or watch it.
It's iconic.
He's so iconic, man. Right? To switch your last name to your number. You think all the NFL owners like that? No.
He did that?
Don't think so. They like everything to be like the same. Everything to everybody to look the same. Have the same socks.
Very traditional.
Traditional and everything. When he did that, that was huge. but that's not actually bad. But it's villainous in the league, right? It's like you're playing a character.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Everyone's like playing something in life. They're in whatever career they're in. They're just playing that character, playing that role, and see how well you do with it.
Yeah.
You know.
So true.
Like if Jake's probably a nice guy. Like you know what I mean?
Probably is.
Oh, I think he is. I believe he is.
The way how I know, like not that I know anything, but how I feel like I know. Just seeing how close they are as brothers, you're not going to be that nice and loving with your sibling like that if you were a bad person.
Yeah.
So maybe if he plays the villain, that's fine. He's probably a nice guy, probably loves his family, loves his parents. It's good enough for me.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fair. And in regards to it, sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
How you know I was going to talk, huh?
I see.
It's still in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, to what you say, Eddie, about like burning bridges, like what kind of bridges do you think would be burned? Like at the end of the day now, I just think if you're again respectful, like Michael was saying, and you do things right and like properly and not to hurt anybody, but you're still the villain, and you know what I mean? Like what bridges can you really burn? Like do you think like sponsorships? Like I think if you're popular enough and that's a big part of it is your character, I don't think you'll burn much bridges, to be quite honest with you. As far as like,
get different opportunities.
Probably, yeah.
You'll get different ones. So maybe you might not get like the squeaky clean brand, but you might get an edgier brand that might want to give you a bigger deal or something. Like you don't know.
Right.
It's so different now. Like right now, it's really hard to like, I guess, stop someone. When you have a big platform, it's like a snowball. It's going and it's gonna keep picking up. It doesn't matter unless you do something so bad where it completely melts. You're good. You're gonna keep getting that following and that steam because people just want to see like how many subs you have, how many like likes you have, all that. If you see a lot, you're gonna want to watch their videos. You want to see what they have to say. Just even if it's a couple minutes, you just want to hear what they're.
Sorry, guys.
My goodness.
Oh my.
That's so cute.
I got a little keeps coming around me. No, I hear you though, man. That's kind of how I see it. Like you're gonna be here, you're gonna be there. But either way, you still can get those deals. You're not really burning bridges per se. But again, that's just my point of view. I know.
No, it makes sense
you mean as well.
It definitely makes sense. I agree to the extent where because sometimes you will advertently burn bridges, inadvertently burn bridges that you just might have been somewhere that you want to be in the future that maybe you just don't know of right now. So I guess a more prominent example of this would be if we go to the Jake Paul scenario specifically, is that what if his goal that he doesn't know it yet, but maybe he actually does want to be in the UFC, right? And I think there's something to be said for organizations, right? Of course, there's so much.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There's so much leverage that could be built up on your own behalf, and I highly respect that this is what's going on as we speak today. Because again, that sovereignty, that autonomy of the self. But I think there's something to be said for organizations because they provide infrastructure for you. So the UFC is a great example. They're a great brand, great for the MMA community as a global community. And maybe in the future, Jake Paul's like, you know what, I actually want to jump into MMA. This is where my passion is. This is where I can utilize more of my strengths. But look, he's literally burning bridges with the president as we speak for, at the expense of possibly not ever being able to do that. Of course, I'm sure he has a plan set out for himself, and maybe that's not the route he wants to go, so that's a decision. I'm not saying that that's exactly the way that it has to go, but that's just an example of who knows. Maybe one day if you're already jumping into the arena, figuratively and literally, now maybe you want to jump into various other elements, especially because of people like the Paul brothers. They're known to be very multifaceted. They do so much. So maybe now you're burning a bridge along the way. That's what I'm just seeing come to fruition from it sometimes too, where I don't think it's as constructive as it could be. But again, teach his own, and I think people, as you said, there's a snowball effect there, so you're going to make it work with the traction that you have, anyways.
Yeah. On a side note, I think Dana White's at the end of the day, he's a businessman. If Jake wanted to be in the UFC and he had a huge following, like even bigger, when he's maybe in a couple of years from now, like 5-6 years from now, I have no doubt in my mind he'll put him in there.
Yeah, he probably probably would open the door because it's a
wide open
for many.
Exactly. That's why I don't know. It's a thin line with that nowadays. Like it's like even with game like tattoos, like things like that. Like everyone before it was like you can't get jobs here and there because of it. But I think now if you're just good at what you do and you can bring a benefit to anyone a job world or in a entertainment world, you're still gonna, you know what I mean? Like he won't go with Disney anymore, but like that's for sure. But I think it's just now you gotta be good at what you're doing. Hey?
You just gotta take ownership of those decisions.
Yeah, for sure. And there is consequence at the end of the day for things that you may not even know yet, but I think overall it's a pretty it's gotta be like what Michael said, you gotta just play it right. You gotta do it smart. Can't just be like a total
Absolutely.
Yeah, can't just be like a total
people are they're dedicated, they're doing all this stuff. This is their life, right? So as much as you think you're thinking about what their next move, they're thinking it even more because it's their actual life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's what you think about yourself. Like if other people, they might give you suggestions, you want to listen to them, but also you're like, I'm thinking about my life as well.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, they're all in, literally. So,
this is your actual life, and then that goes back to what we were talking about again in the beginning. What motivates you? Yourself.
Yeah.
Yourself. At the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
It was a good conversation, to speak about, to touch on like the Paul Brown, because like those people are they're so motivated themselves, right?
And they make such a big impact. It's hard to just to look away at it. So it's at the forefront of many conversations, as we previously spoke of. The entertainment industry as a whole, and they're touching upon so many different aspects of it. But yeah, no, thank you for your insight there.
Yeah, I definitely love that this was a great conversation. I love having you on. It's fun, man. I definitely want to just do this again.
Yeah, no, we have to. It's
it's the honor is all mine. I would be so happy to do this again. This was a huge, even this alone was really big for me. So I'm excited, and if whenever you guys want me back on, please, I'm here. I'm here for it.
Let's do it. Let's do that. But before we go, quick.
Yeah.
What are your Euro predictions? Euro 2021 predictions?
Buddy, come on. Don't ask me that kind of question, man.
Hey.
Quick side note. I don't know what's going on here. I went to, I was driving down after work today. I went for a little drive. Italian guy gave me the finger today.
No way.
There's this hatred thing going on with Portugal, Italy, and I think that's so grade A.
That's
I think now everyone's just too excited. Everyone's just too excited.
It's a fun rivalry. It's just a
It is. It's whatever. At the end of the day, our grandmas overfeed us. We drink a lot of wine and we eat a lot of food. Boom. We're all the same.
It's honestly just around Euros. A couple fingers come out. That's it.
Soft, man. That's okay. It's whatever.
Taking over, but that's wild.
But yeah, definitely Portugal. But to be realistic, I would say either France. Honestly, Italy's playing fantastic right now. I'm scared.
Well, we have an easy. I don't even say wait. So Italy has an easy group.
Yeah, but you guys aren't scoring goals 90th minute like Portugal did.
No, but we have.
You guys are playing very well.
Our group is fairly easy.
Is Ronaldo?
Yeah, Ronaldo's in.
Oh, okay.
He's playing. Yeah.
Portugal plays tomorrow, right?
We play Saturday against Germany. So if we beat Germany, I think we're good. We're good.
Is Copa America going on as well?
I think so. Yeah, I think
same
Copa.
time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it's Copa as well. Okay, hi.
Yeah, but I don't really watch Copa. It's just Messi. He just plays amazing everywhere he goes.
Yeah, literally. Well, Brazil, they have Neymar.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, Brazil too, for sure.
Maybe
but I think Portugal's going to win the Euro because I have money on that. And then to be realistic, I would say either France or Italy. England's going to go up there too, but I think France or Italy is going to win it this year.
Aren't you the defending champs?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, we're the defending champs.
What was that guy? He was a kid.
Renato Sanchez!
Yeah, Sanchez.
Yeah. He's playing. He's a bull, man.
Man, he was 19.
He was on Bayern, right?
Yeah.
He was on Bayern?
He was 19 years
He
old.
was on Bayern, yeah.
That side kick, and it just went in 30 yards. I was like,
why not?
He's,
why not for the win?
He's a machine, man. That kid's going to be incredible. He plays crap during his leagues, when he plays in his league games. Yeah. He plays really well for Portugal, so.
Well, hey,
that's all I care about.
Yeah, that's all.
It's
okay, if it works, it works. Well, that's awesome, man. Well,
good luck. It's been a great tournament. We'll see you soon for sure, but we'll also be having you on here. We'll do this together.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I so appreciate it again. Thank you so much. And yeah, again, whenever you want. You guys are both beauties. Thank you so much for this.
Easy, bro.
Kisses.